What's good, everybody? Valley here once again. Welcome back to the Messy Workbench. And I've been on a little bit of a break action revolver kick lately because this is the break action Hammershot kit by Hellfire Industries over on Reddit. And as I said before, this is a break action kit for the Hammershot that does require a bit of shell cutting and everything, but I think it is quite worth it overall. It is a full-on body kit that makes it more of a hand cannon, as you can see. And let me back the camera off so you can see this a little bit better, and so I can talk a little bit more about this. And there we go. But yes, this is a break action Hammershot kit by Hellfire Industries that works quite nicely. To open up, you need to pull on this piece here, and I've found out that just pulling on this and lifting doesn't quite work all the time because the cylinder gets stuck on the air restrictor peg. Now, if you remove the air restrictor, you can not deal with that, but I like leaving the air restrictor in because that makes it more longer lasting, especially with upgrade springs and such. And the cylinders are printed on glass, it appears, because that is super smooth, which leads to really good seals on the foam on the plunger tube. And you just simply load up your cylinders. These are all 5-shot cylinders, so it uses the stock rotation mech on the Hammershot. There you go. Take this, you put a cylinder in, which one thing I would like to criticize is I would prefer a more conical feeding hole on the cylinder here. There is a slight taper to the hole, but it looks like it was added after the fact. And it makes it a little more precise to have to load this thing. Like, say if you're running around and you need to quickly slap in a new cylinder, if you're fumbling around and stuff, you might not always get it every time. Having a more conical feeding hole will help that. You just drop it in, and unlike the Viper, you can't sling it up because of where it pivots. If the pivot were more back here and had an arm underneath this, then you'd be able to actually sling it back and everything, but if you try to sling it back now, you're gonna flinging your cylinder out, and that's not good. And one nice thing about this that is actually very good for the performance is the cylinder pin is spring loaded, so it's constantly pushing up against the plunger tube. You close it up like that, it's quite nice. Prime it back, and you fire. Now, this thing actually hits harder than a stock Hammershot. Here's one of the newer ones that is actually made in India, which I have something to say about these later, but yeah. Even though this performs decently well, it only hits about as hard as like a Jolt or so. This one is completely stock, air restrictor and all, and the barrels are better overall. It's got a longer tight section, and it's generally more snug around. It's about like having some 9/16 with a 17/32 stub at the back. And that, on top of the fact that it has the constant pressure on the air restrictor and everything, and the glass print bed surface on the back of the cylinder, leads to some pretty decent performance. And now that cylinder is into, you just take it. I tend to pull the cylinder back as well as this, and it works quite well for that. Slap a new cylinder in. You can get pretty practice at this. Slap it in. There you go. Now on to my larger criticisms about this kit. He does need to improve his print quality a bit. There's a lot of salmon skinning, is what it's called, on the surface of the print, where there's both the ghosting from, I assume he uses something like a monoprice select menu to print his stuff, and the signal going to the motors seems to be very noisy in terms of the extruder and stuff. So that could be improved on just by getting a new printer like a CR10. Another is, even though he does provide cutting lines, like cutting jigs and everything for this that go on here and here, due to human error, you can still end up with a slightly skewed barrel. On mine, it kicks slightly to the right. That was my own error. But yeah, if he had the thing set up to cut like right here and then bolt onto the sides of the arms. That would help better with alignment and with human error in terms of cutting. Just to make it a little more idiot-proof, which is technically just code for Valor-proof at this point. But yeah. I do like the fact that it uses the stock rotation mech for strength, but I would like to see a 6-shot version at the very least of his cylinders and rotation mech, because a 6-shot rotation mech, even a printed one, will still be quite strong, unlike something like an 8-shot, which 8-shot ones are notoriously weak, which, you know, that has led to a lot of people's 8-shot cylinders breaking and stuff, and that's generally not a good time. But a 6-shot should be fine, or even a 7. Well, 7 might be pushing it, but a 6-shot should be absolutely fine. Also, a new version of the cylinders would be quite handy for one that, like if you want to use brass, if you had a much stronger spring load like a Titan 10 kilogram spring, or even PET-G, which I like using nowadays. And I think that is about my general concerns about this. Most of them are less about the design and more about, like, oh yeah, they are more about like things that could be tweaked in the future, which, you know, with 3D modeling and 3D printing and everything, you can easily tweak things and test them quickly. Like, it's not like you have to machine a whole new piece. You just have to print it and everything, set it going printing, wake up, and your part will be there for you. But yeah, my name is Valor. I'll drop a link down to his Reddit page down below where you can get this thing or message him or whatever. I'm not sure how he does business yet. He doesn't have a Etsy store as far as I know, but I'll drop a link down to his Reddit page and everything, and the Reddit post or whatever where he initially posted this. My name is Valor. Thanks for watching.